Nebraska in the new Pinnacle Bank Arena. We've got a Big Ten championship on the line tonight and a pair of 2,000-point scorers going head-to-head as the conference race heads into its final week. Welcome to Big Monday, presented by Verizon as part of Bracket Builder Week. And tonight, Penn State goes for an historic Big Ten three-peat. They have never won 3 straight titles in their storied history, while Nebraska can keep its own title hopes alive with a win here tonight. We've got 1 week to go. Penn State has 1 game left. Nebraska and Michigan State, they are a game back in the loss column. They each have 2 games left after tonight in the chase for a Big Ten championship. And welcome to Lincoln. I'm Beth Mullins along with Stephanie White, who was at Purdue the last time there were tri-champions in the Big Ten back in the late 90s. A chance we could see 3 teams share that title again.
Absolutely. An opportunity for Penn State to secure at least a share of the Big Ten title. And for Nebraska, you want to keep those hopes alive for a win right now. And that means Nebraska, Michigan State, and Penn State could at least have a share leading into those last couple games.
Well, let's go one-on-one right now. And it has been a decade, folks, since we have had this much firepower in a Big Ten game with Lucas and Hooper.
2 of the top 3 scorers in the Big Ten on 2 of the top 3 scoring teams in the Big Ten. So we should be in for offensive up-tempo game tonight.
Checking out the starting lineup. Let's go front line for Penn State, where Edwards, East, and Waldner go 6'3", 6'3", 6'5". They will have the big size advantage tonight. And for Nebraska up front, well, what they lack in stature, they make up for with experience. Hooper, Katie, and Sample will start together for the 93rd straight game in a Husker jersey. Nebraska in their home whites, Penn State in their road blues. And a Penn State win coupled with a Michigan State loss tonight would mean that it is an outright championship for the Lady Lions.
I think this is going to be a tough matchup for Waldner when you think about having to guard Katie, but Jordan Hooper lighting it up from the beginning. Look, it's a good sign when she starts out knocking down a 3-point shot.
We, of course, are in Bracket Builder Week, so we visit bracketology, and right now Penn State penciled in as a 3 seed, Nebraska a 6 seed. The Lady Lions host first and second round action, and Nebraska, if they can get back here, could play at home for a regional. One of the 4 sites around the country as Taylor hits her first shot. Sample looking for a trail and comes back out to Rachel Terrio. That is the one spot on the floor. Terrio at the point where they do have a size advantage.
I like the way Penn State's matching up. They are allowing Talia East to stay inside, clog the paint, and match her up on Haley Sample. But you can't lose sight of her. Haley Sample does such a good job of moving without the basketball. She doesn't score a lot, but she's very efficient.
And the other way, it's Ariel Edwards, the senior out of Elmont, New York. Her numbers have gone up considerably this year. They've replaced 3 starters from last year's Sweet 16 club. And the kick out, Terrio off the mark. And the scrap for the loose ball. The foul will be called on Penn State and Edwards. Well, look at Connie Yori, the most successful coach in Nebraska history, now in her 12th season, highlighted by a couple of trips to the Sweet 16. She is looking for the 8th top 10 win of her tenure here tonight.
Well, Penn State goes zone on the out-of-bounds plays. We've seen them do that throughout this season. But if you're going to go zone, you have to know where Jordan Hooper is. If you're defending Jordan Hooper, you have to force her to play off the bounce. Force her to move and put the ball on the floor.
That is right atop the scouting report. No threes for Hooper or Lucas. They are both top 5 all-time in Big Ten history in triple makes. This is Waldner. Left-hander off the mark. Another opportunity for Penn State. A pair of very good rebounding teams here tonight.
Well, you have to be concerned if you're Nebraska with the size advantage that Penn State has inside. They're doubling Talia East on the block, but then you've got to get back and you've got to box out a man and not allow offensive rebounds.
Lucas has to give it up. Walton mid-range, short. East, another board for the Lady Lions.
And Jordan Hooper can't get caught turning and looking at the ball. She has got to, even if she has to face guard and face box out to Leah East.
East no good as the Bigs try and establish a scoring presence early. Sample on the run. Layups and triples early on for Nebraska.
And that's a key for Nebraska. Sometimes this team can fall in love with the jumper and fall in love with the three ball. When they have the balance of being able to get some paint scores as well as knock down those three-point shots, that's when they're at their best offensively.
Off the steal, and here come the Huskers, who have hit 4 of their first 5 shots. They'll leave it off for Loudermill, and another 3. And a timeout, Penn State.
T. Loudermill has been playing exceptional the last 7 games. 14 points a game, 46% from the 3.
They've knocked down all 3s they've attempted. Huskers up early. Well, not exactly the start Coquise Washington was looking for, but her Lady Lions try to calm them down coming out of the timeout in her 7th season. The former starter at Notre Dame had a WNBA career before retiring to the sideline, and twice the Big Ten Coach of the Year. They are looking for a 3rd straight regular season title. That has not happened in Penn State history.
Haley Sample doing a terrific job on Maggie Lucas, and Ariel Edwards knocked down a 3 early. Now she puts it on the floor. The emergence of Ariel Edwards, the emergence of Dara Taylor offensively, as well as Talia East inside, has really made Penn State that much better. This is a team that graduated 3 starters, 2 interior players, a 4-year starting point guard, and Alex Bentley. Those 2 have been difference makers.
That's a 2 just inside the line for Terrio. How about a 6-for-7 start for Nebraska from the floor tonight? And they're up 8, trying to keep their championship hopes alive.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by Verizon. Starting now, you're getting more on the all-new More Everything plan. It's powerful, and in part by Audi, Truth in Engineering, and Subway. Value is always served up fresh at Subway. Subway, eat fresh.
Nebraska up 15-7. They have assisted on all 6 of their field goals. 3 of those triples as they work inside and out early on.
And that's key for Nebraska to have that balance right here. Just the dribble drive. Look, a hand in the face. Jordan Hooper able to elevate above Maggie Lucas and being able to get inside. You're going to play off of Haley Sample, but you can't lose Haley Sample. And I think it's one of the keys for Nebraska. Whenever they get those easy looks and then step out and knock down those threes or vice versa, they move so well without the basketball. They know each other inside and out, how to find each other. Makes them awfully tough to defend.
Jordan Hooper 2 for 2, 6 points. Maggie Lucas has yet to attempt a shot.
That was a great show by Emily Cady. Maggie Lucas might have had a little bit of time. Good recognition.
Edwards trying to score underneath. Right now, Nebraska forcing some other Lady Lion to try and beat them besides Lucas. And they just continue to rain it from outside. 4 for 4 from downtown.
That's 2 for T. Loudermill. Earlier this season, she got a career-high 5 against Wisconsin.
Lucas with a tough step back, won't go. 1 and done. Inside, Cady had it knocked loose by Taylor, who's showing a little fire. She's not thrilled at the score right now. The 5th-year senior out of Wilmington, Delaware. She's the Big Ten steals leader, and she's 5th in the league in assists as she's moved over to the point this year to replace Alex Bentley.
Gotta know where the shooter is. Gotta talk about it.
Loudermill, nobody even close, so she steps back and hits another triple. 5 for 5. They are 8 of 9 from the floor.
And look, one of 2 things has to happen. Either Penn State's going to have to start going man-to-man on the out-of-bounds plays, or they're going to have to do a better job of communicating where the shooters are. Nebraska has 4 players on the floor that can consistently knock down the 3. But you certainly got to know the hot hand.
Lee Mitchell has come into the lineup, number 15 in blue. Penn State looking out of sorts. Shot clock winding down, and Sample got the block. Hooper looking for another one. That one's off the mark, and Sample with the rebound and a foul on Waldner.
But you got to know where T. Loudermill is. Here she is in transition, knocking down a 3. She's shooting at 44% from the 3 in conference play. And then you got to find her. She just knocked down 2 in a row. You've got to communicate that. Run at her, force her to put the ball on the floor.
Connie already told us today it's shoot around. Critical for us to make some shots on the perimeter. We're smaller down low. We need to make those bigs work. And they can't get out to the shooters right now.
The ball doesn't stop moving with Nebraska, and the players don't stop moving. And that's tough to defend when you talk about getting in rotations and you're always chasing the ball. You're always chasing a player.
Taylor misses the shot. They are 3 for 10, but here's the turnover for Penn State. Taylor wins the race to get the lane.
Both of these teams like to push in transition, and Penn State loves to be able to get points off of turnovers. Taking care of the basketball, critical for Nebraska.
Emily Cady out of control on the drive, turns it over. Well, it's one of the most historic rivalries in sports. Tricia Liston and the Blue Devils heading into Chapel Hill to take on Diamond DeShields and the Tar Heels. Duke, Carolina, next Sunday at 1 on ESPN and on your live on your Watch ESPN app. Of course, the breaking news this evening: Alexis Jones, a torn ACL. The starting guard for the Blue Devils done for the year. This comes just a few weeks after they lost their other starter in the backcourt, Chelsea Gray.
You lose Chelsea Gray. Chloe Wells has been out with injuries. You lose Alexis Jones. Now the primary ball handler on the floor is Tricia Liston. You see what Alexis Jones has done in the absence of Chelsea Gray. She stepped up even more. Now you're asking Tricia Liston to be the primary ball handler, to be your go-to scorer. I mean, that is a huge blow for the Blue Devils.
Certainly our best wishes to Alexis for a speedy recovery. Surgery will be on later this week. But of course, the big picture now for the rest of the country, you got to figure the Blue Devils have been penciled in for almost penned in as a 2 seed in the NCAA tournament. that might not hold up now, and the door could be open for, say, a Penn State to move up as long as they can win out the rest of the way.
Absolutely. I think without a doubt it could affect the seeding. It's going to affect certainly the rest of the season in terms of the matchup with Carolina, have Wake Forest, and you look at Charlie Cream's bracketology, the 1 and 2 seeds as of right now, and you know that 4th #1 seed has been a bit debatable between South Carolina and Duke. Louisville maybe in there as well.
Stick around. We're going to, a little bit later on tonight, we're going to give you some blind resumes. Who should be the overall #1 seed in the tournament? Who should get that last #1? Who should be a #2? We'll take a look at the numbers and perhaps try and sway the selection committee as best we can. Of course, you can follow all the latest bracketology at ESPNW.com and at ESPN.com. And the ESPN Network's your exclusive home for every game in the NCAA tournament.
Jordan Hooper whistled for that foul right there. I'd go right back at her. Make her defend Talia East on the block.
Lucas tries the window, can't knock it down. Maggie starting out 0 for 2. Another wide open 3.
If there's anybody that you want to challenge to shoot that shot, it's Brandy Jeffrey. She only shoots at 26% on the season, but right now the Huskers are hot.
85% from beyond the arc. And they are blowing out a top 10 team right now.
And watch Haley Sample in the corner. Look how she's playing on top of Maggie Lucas. She is not allowing Maggie Lucas to catch the ball. The best thing that can happen for Penn State is exactly that. You've got to get some other players to knock down shots, so then maybe you can loosen up Maggie Lucas a little bit.
Taylor able to body up Ontario. How about the three-point shooting for the Huskers?
They have been on fire. Nebraska lighting it up from all over the floor. Got to find a way to contain that. Put that fire out.
You can tell us who's going to win the basketball games tonight?
The gods have determined the fates of all men.
Oh, have the gods determined which men are going to make baskets and which one will throw up bricks?
The gods have an opinion, it is so.
Wow. I didn't know seeing would get so granular.
6 of 7 from three-point land for the Nebraska Huskers. They're up 24-11. Well, here's a discussion now that is starting to pick up a little steam. Who will be the overall #1 seed in the NCAA tournament since we have 2 unbeatens?
To me, this is the obvious #1. You look at RPI, you look at strength of schedule, 6-0 versus the RPI top 25. I mean, I think when you look at it just like this is it right here.
All right, let's reveal. Oh boy, won't that get interesting? Here's a situation, by the way, that the top 25 RPI, Notre Dame could end up with more than UConn because of playing in the ACC.
Absolutely. And it certainly affects RPI. It certainly affects all of those things. And, you know, you look at it, it's not the eye test. Certainly it's the numbers, but I certainly think Notre Dame deserves it.
UConn still has a statement to make, and we will have that game on our air Big Monday next week. UConn at Louisville. And certainly as fans of the game, we're hoping that maybe Card Nation will have about 15 or 20,000 folks in the Center next Monday night. The regular season finale of Big Monday.
I think that foul was on Ariel Edwards, and that's her second. They need her on the floor for her offensive production, her defensive ability, and her rebounding. So she's got to be smart now, matching up with Jordan Hooper.
This is Hooper. She'll try for 3. Long rebound to Mitchell. Only Edwards and Taylor have scored here in the first half for Penn State.
When you see how Nebraska's playing on top of Talia East, they are forcing Mitchell to knock down shots when she's on the floor, forcing other players on the perimeter to knock them down. You got to get that person on the weak side. If you put them on the strong side, the defender's going to sit right on top of her.
Taylor with the air ball. The three-point shot is not her strength. She's just 27% from out there. Maggie Lucas, just 3 shots thus far through the first 9 minutes. Sample has been all over.
Yeah, and you just look at Haley Sample working as Dara Taylor able to beat the shot clock. Sample is working to stay on top of Maggie Lucas, to not allow her to come off of those screens.
On the drive, pitches it back out to Terrio. Now Katie around to Sample. Katie off the bounce, offensive foul. Good help coming over from Talia East, the senior out of Philly, who has had some foul problems the last couple of games for Penn State. East, a member of this senior class, along with Maggie Lucas and Ariel Edwards, have an opportunity to be the winningest class in school history if they can get deep into the NCAA tournament. Weak side, the find to Mitchell. Freshman tries to spin inside, tips it to herself. Held ball will stay with the Lady Lions. Taylor off the cross, ends up with Edwards. She'll try for 3, and again they beat the buzzer, and that one's a triple. Gets Penn State back within 8.
You got to be able to get stops in the defensive end. You've got to find a way to contest. And Haley Sample. 6 points for Haley Sample. Got a couple of easy buckets early, got some confidence, steps up and knocks down a jumper.
That ends a 7-0 Penn State run. Nebraska 66% from the floor. Off to a torrid start, and now Penn State starting to heat up. Edwards with another 3.
11 for Ariel Edwards. Important for her, you mentioned to stay on the floor with those 2 fouls, but her emergence offensively has taken a little bit of pressure off of Penn State to get Maggie Lucas shots. Now, if you're Maggie Lucas, you just stay calm, you stay poised, stay the course.
Sample misses the gimme. It will go back to Penn State. Under 9 to go here in the first half.
Really good defense. That she's just working to keep Maggie Lucas. It is not easy when you're running through all of those screens.
Lucas tries the deep 3. She's given up about 4 inches to Sample, the defender. They put a taller player on her. Laudermill looking for 3, and there's another one. triples in the first half for the Huskers.
T. Loudermill has 4 of them for 12 points. She has really emerged as a go-to offensive player for Nebraska in conference play. Just when you think you have to focus on Jordan Hooper and Terrio, maybe a big 3, T. Loudermill has become a go-to player.
Foul off the ball as Loudermill was not good in this department a year ago. Put the work in, and now she's a threat from downtown.
Todd Grisham here with a studio update. Oklahoma and Baylor in action right now, and it's been all Baylor and all Odyssey Sims. She's the leading scorer in the country. 2 more right there. She's got 16 as Baylor is leading 29-9 at home. Syracuse trying to avoid their 3rd consecutive loss, playing at Maryland. They're up 7 with 7:18 to go. You can catch that game over on ESPN. Back to Beth and Stephanie.
And there's a look at the freshly minted AP Top 10. Thank you very much, Todd. Baylor coming in at number 6 in the country. And, of course, UConn and Notre Dame, they both stay at the top. The Huskies, 34 wins in a row. And for Notre Dame, boy, hard to imagine losing Skylar Diggins, coming back strong, off to their best start in history. It's happened only once in NCAA history that there have been 2 undefeateds heading into the NCAA tournament. That was back in '98, Tennessee and Liberty. So it's never happened with 2 power conference schools, which could be the case this year.
And would be an awesome national championship game with the 2 undefeateds colliding.
Will it happen? Still plenty left to go. Penn State loses it out of bounds. Lucas scoreless thus far in the first half. Well, there's a women's basketball doubleheader for you on Sunday. We'll start out with these Huskers taking on Purdue. There may be a lot at stake for Nebraska, perhaps a share of the conference crown. And then Vanderbilt and Kentucky. Kentucky starting to put things together. A big road win against Texas A&M. That's all part of Bracket Builder Week on Sunday afternoon. And the 3-point barrage continues.
T. Loudermill with her 5th. She tied her career high already in the first half.
Husker radio guy Matt Coatney, his call is "You Betcha." He's been saying "You Betcha" a lot. How about 8 times on a 3-ball in the first half? And Penn State looking for an old-fashioned 3.
T. Loudermill has been amazing from the three-point line. And what happens is that cut by Rachel Terrio sets up the defender helping right there. Terrio, you don't want to give up a layup, so you got to help, but you also don't want to give up a three. Right now, that's the ball game, the three-point line. You have got to force Nebraska to play off of the dribble.
She has tied her career high with 5 threes. She hasn't missed one yet. They've been up by as many as 15 here in this first half.
And you mentioned it, T. Loudermill was known as a driver, a penetrator. She really worked in the offseason on her shot. She had a couple of games early in conference season where it started to fall, and she has just been confident ever since.
Taking it inside, and Peyton Wittig, a freshman out of Sewanee, Georgia, with the basket. Drive, Sample, and the skip goes into the front row.
Good defense by East. I think sometimes when you're guarding a player like Haley Sample, who has done such a good job of finding efficient ways to be effective, you got to close out, not run out. She might have had a layup had she tried to dribble around East.
Sample doing a dynamite job defending Lucas so far in the first half, and then she commits the foul trying to beat Maggie to the handoff.
And that's one way that you can get Maggie Lucas involved. Maybe not directly off of pin downs or stagger screens because Sample's playing on top, but some handoffs, get her on the backside, you know, find a way to work, maybe spread it out, get her some backdoor looks.
Maggie Lucas was held to 7 points by Notre Dame earlier this year, her lowest output. And Maggie is 0 for 4 with an assist and a foul here in the first half. That's it. She is the second all-time leading scorer in Penn State history behind Kelly Mazzani. Has had a phenomenal career.
When it's important for Penn State and for Maggie Lucas to be patient, but I don't know how you give Loudermill that much space. 18 points, 6 of 6 from the three.
Career high triples. They are 9 for 11 from deep. They have assisted on every basket here in the first half.
That is an amazing statistic. Assisted on every made bucket, playing together. Look, the little brush screen, and she sets you up like she's attacking the paint. Steps back, and you've got to run at her, and she's loving it. She says, I'm hot, keep giving it to me.
What a shooting display in this first half.
Hey, corner! Corner!
Weak side, Terrio. Under 5 to go. Here's Loudermill again. And her first miss from deep. She is human.
But she was open. And you have got to be aware when you're shifting in that zone, if there's nobody to cover on the block, you need to cheat out to Loudermill.
Edwards got the triple. Ariel Edwards is keeping Penn State in this game tonight. She's got 14.
If you look at Penn State right now, all eyes are on the ball. Nobody is finding the person in their area. So you're not seeing the cutters. You're not seeing the open shooter.
Another pitch out from the high post. And another three. That's 10 of 13. They only have 4 two-pointers tonight.
See ball, see man. See ball, see man. Even in the zone, all heads are on the ball. Everybody, 3 people on the ball right there. Nebraska is hurting them from the three-point line. Right now, you got to think about playing from the outside in instead of the inside out.
Their season high is 12. They've already got 10. Edwards,
Great move.
16 points here in the first half.
Really good move, and Penn State switching it up, going back to the man-to-man after the made bucket.
Katie, nice ball fake after she put it on the deck, and she'll go to the line. 10-point Husker lead. They are shooting the lights out in Lincoln.
Coming up on the Land Rover Halftime Report, we're 3 weeks away from Selection Monday. Rebecca Lobo will give us her #1 seeds as of today. Plus, another huge injury for the Duke Blue Devils. Alexis Jones out for the year. Rebecca tells us where Duke goes from here. For now, back at Lincoln, we'll see you at the half.
Thanks, Todd. Well, let's see how Rebecca's picks may line up with ours. If you give a #1 seed to UConn, Notre Dame, and Stanford, which of these teams is your other #1 seed?
Well, if you're looking at this resume right here, strength of schedule, RPI, and wins against the RPI top 25, I think it's this team right there. I think if you look second, probably this team right there.
Oh, and that would be the Duke Blue Devils getting a #1 over South Carolina and Louisville. But, of course, now with Alexis Jones's injury, can they sustain those numbers down the stretch? They have a regular season game with North Carolina and then possibly 1 or 2 ranked teams in the ACC tournament.
I think it's going to be tough. I think you would have to win those, prove that you can play without Alexis Jones, and win without Alexis Jones in one of the deepest conferences in the country, the deepest conference in the country. I'm not sure. I think that certainly would impact where I would put Duke.
Yeah. South Carolina certainly has a lot of momentum now. Congratulations to Don Staley and the Gamecocks. They've won a share of an SEC championship. And, of course, Louisville, we've got the national championship game rematch for you next Monday night. They still have at least 1, perhaps 2 cracks to knock off UConn, and that would probably get them a #1 seed. As an offensive foul is called, Terrio takes the charge on Kalia Mitchell.
Well, she's been playing off of Kalia Mitchell, and looks like she might have still been moving. Now the question is, was she moving backwards or was she moving sideways? But a good job by Terrio of beating her to the spot. Not trying to go out to her, but beating her to the spot. And you see 14 assists on 14 made field goals.
They have 10 3-pointers, 6 of them for Tara Laudermill. If she gets another one, it would tie the single-game Nebraska record. That time, Laudermill, she shot that one too close.
Force them to play off the dribble. You've got to force Nebraska right now to play off the bounce.
Lucas cannot knock it down. Maggie Lucas 0 for 5. She does not have a trip to the free throw line either. here in the first half.
And that was probably the most open shot she's gotten.
One of the top scorers in the country. She's approaching 2,500 career points at Penn State. And the foul is going to be called. That's a Freedom of Movement Initiative whistle there on Peyton Whitted. Well, we've been talking about it a little bit. How about Brianna Stewart and Shoni Schimmel getting together down at the Yum Center Monday? UConn and Louisville at 7 Eastern on ESPN2. Also on your Watch ESPN app as we close out the regular season. Those two teams could also square off in the American Conference Championship. And we, talk about it a lot. Charlie Cream's bracketology this week has UConn and Louisville together in the regional. It's got Duke and Notre Dame together in the regional. You cannot overlook the geographic relationship with the NCAA selection committee and how they bracket teams that they could face one another from the same conference again in the region final.
Well, and each committee member certainly has one thing or another that they strongly view, and everybody's different. Great screen, and that's another way for Maggie Lucas to get involved. Start setting screens. Now you got two players defending her. You open up her teammates.
Loud inside and one for Hooper. Terrific catch as Terrio dropped it over the top.
There was some concern. You look over the top, Jordan Hooper going to get it. Strong finish. And if that was Ariel Edwards, that's her third foul.
That is indeed the third foul on Edwards.
She's got 16 of Penn State's 30 points and now saddled with her third foul.
Taylor and Whitted are the only other Lady Lions that have scored here in the first half. As Hooper misses the shot, 8 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists for Jordan here in the first half. And the pick. Loudermill. That matches the biggest lead of the night. Under 2 to go. Timeout, Penn State.
Coquise Washington talking to her team right now about poise, about being under control, the calming influence of Coquise Washington. Never get too high or too low, but right now, Nebraska doing it all on both ends. T. Loudermill, strong, quick hands, finishing in transition, and Dara Taylor just stopped. She didn't get back in transition defense.
First time they didn't need an assist on a basket tonight. How about the Huskers tournament resume? It would certainly get a whole lot better with a win here tonight. They've got a good RPI. Their schedule strength is suspect, and Penn State would be the best of the quality wins they could add to that list. Their toughest loss of the year was Northwestern, currently coming in with an RPI just inside 100. For Connie Yorie's club, looking to make it 8 in a row and go streaking into the final week of the season. An extraordinary job that Connie has done here. They have the best 3 records in school history in the last 5 years, including that team that went 29-0 in the regular season in 2010, led by Kelsey Griffin.
And Lindsey Moore was a freshman starting point guard on that team. Another turnover for Penn State.
Loudermill kicks it back out wide open. Look for Terrio.
Why not? T. Loudermill, the change of speed sets you up, finds Rachel Terrio.
11 first half triples. And at this end of the floor, they have held Lucas without a point. Loudermill, 3-on-3. Terrio. Final minute of this first half. And Connie Yorie wants a timeout. She'll get Emily Cady out onto the court. Biggest lead of the night at 48-30.
Another turnover for Penn State. T. Loudermill getting out in transition, finds Rachel Terrio. trailing the play and knocking down the 11th three for Nebraska.
And what a job they are doing against a Penn State defense. Their field goal percentage defense is 35%. The Huskers in the first half are at 65% shooting.
And 29% from the three-point line, field goal defense. You know, there was some concern with the graduation of Lindsey Moore about the transition of the point guard. That's a 4-year starter that you lost to graduation. Rachel Terrio has seamlessly made that transition. She has held this team together. She has been that leader.
Their season high is 12 triples. They've got 11 here in the first half. Katie, who just came into the game, lays it up and in.
A tactician is Connie Orey. She knows which matchup she wants to exploit. And Emily Katie going right at Talia East is one of those.
East called for a foul for hooking the elbow. And now that is the third on Talia East. And you can see the frustration here for Penn State.
Talia East gets the ball inside, and she's going into making her move. I think, I'm not sure about that call. I think Talia East has been known to do that in the past, but I'm not sure that was leading with the elbow.
Loudermilk just inside the line. They could do no wrong through the first 20 minutes. And they end it on an 11-0 run. A shocker here in Lincoln, 52-30.
Do no wrong, Beth said, and she's right. Welcome into the Land Rover halftime report. Speaking of not being able to do anything wrong, how about Baylor today taking on Oklahoma? And guess who the star's been, Rebecca Lobo? Odyssey Sims.
I mean, so good. Look at that. The double team comes out, jab step, still drains the three.
16-4 Baylor leads. Sims now to Nia Johnson on the inbounds play. Nice look. Baylor up 18-4. Baylor up big. Sims to Nina Davis. A lot of people may have forgotten how good Sims is at the assists, and she did it regularly when Brittany Griner played there.
Yeah, all-time assist leader at Baylor.
Sims, 21 points so far as Baylor is rolling 50-31 as the first half is about to come to a close. Alongside Rebecca Lobo, my name is Todd Grisham. I would ask you what the key has been so far for Nebraska, but a 2-year-old toddler could make the observation that has been the three-point shot, 11 of 14. Wow.
Yeah, they've been absolutely lights out. This is a team that averages just under 7 makes a game, and they already have 11 threes in the first half. They've been absolutely terrific, and it's been against both the Penn State man-to-man and the zone defense, moving the ball around. Nebraska is a fantastic team in terms of cutting and passing the basketball, and how good has Tara Loudermilk been? 6 of 7 from three-point line. This is a kid who shoots 39% from the three-point line on the season. Pretty good, but she has been amazing in this first half. It doesn't matter what defense Penn State is playing. They've been on the ball. It does matter what defense Nebraska's playing. You see Haley Sample is all over Maggie Lucas. She's not letting her get the basketball. She's aware of what's happening on the other side of the floor, but she knows her job is to keep the ball out of Maggie Lucas's hands. Right here, the shot clock is going down. Lucas ends up with the ball in her hand. This is one of the few shots she got in that first half, held scoreless. Just an outstanding job making threes, but also denying Maggie Lucas with their defensive deny. It's been great.
I was planning on talking about Maggie Lucas becoming the fourth all-time leading scorer in conference history. All she needed was 1 point, but she doesn't have it. Scoreless through the first half for Maggie Lucas, so Penn State with a lot of work to do coming up in the second half. Michigan State in action as we speak, hosting Minnesota. It's 44-33. How big a fan are you of the Spartans this year?
Oh, Michigan State's doing a really nice job. They've won 6 of their last 7, and if Penn State loses in this game against Nebraska, they will be in a 3-way tie with Penn State and Nebraska in the Big Ten.
Still plenty to play for in the Big Ten Conference. Coming up, Rebecca Lobo tells us who her #1 seeds are right now in the country. Did South Carolina make the cut?
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Little Caesars. Try our $5 hot and ready lunch combo. Welcome back to the Land Rover Halftime Report.
Duke's Alexis Jones injured her knee yesterday against Notre Dame. Took an MRI today, and the status is horrible. Out for the season with a torn ACL. It has been that kind of season for Duke as we look at some of their notable injuries this year. Alexis Jones, Chelsea Gray out with a fractured kneecap, and Chloe Wells as well. Wow.
And what's significant, the most significant, is all three of these players are point guards. Duke is left now without a point guard. Trisha Liston will be their player that they will use most at the point guard position. But now there is not a single healthy player on the Duke roster right now who has more assists than turnovers. You're going to be pressing the heck out of them if you're playing Duke.
Who's going to play point guard?
Trisha Liston's going to have to play point guard, but this is a kid who's played some point in the half-court sets but doesn't handle a lot in full court.
Well, we are exactly 21 days from Selection Monday. Who are the number one seeds going to be? Who are they right now, Rebecca?
Well, my number one seeds are a lot of people's number one seeds, and you start with Connecticut, Notre Dame, South Carolina, and Stanford. And I know they showed in the telecast that Notre Dame has a better RPI, has a better strength of schedule than Connecticut, but with the eye test, watching them, Connecticut right now is my number one overall.
All right, of those four, who has the toughest road to keeping a 1 seed?
I think South Carolina has the toughest road. They've got two pretty tough games left in their regular season schedule. They play Georgia, who's had some upsets throughout the course of the SEC season, and then they play in Knoxville at Tennessee. Then when you start the SEC tournament, this is a South Carolina team that has a tough way to go, and there's few teams out there that they're praying that they're going to lose those last two and maybe drop to a 2 seed.
Well, the Gamecocks have just one SEC loss this season. It was in overtime to Texas A&M. All right, besides the teams that are obvious, the ones that you just pointed out, who can play themselves into a 1 seed?
I think Louisville, number one, is a team that can play itself to a 1 seed. This is a team that's been playing really well. They had the loss to Connecticut in stores. Asia Taylor, that you saw score right there, has been big for them, especially lately. They've got Shoni Schimmel, Sarah Hammond. This is a team that's playing well. And they've got Connecticut at Louisville, the last game of the regular season. This game will be sold out. It's Native American Day. People will be coming in to watch the Schimmel sisters. I think Jeff Walz thinks his team has a great chance to upset Connecticut. And if they upset Connecticut, I think Louisville jumps over Stanford and becomes a #1 seed.
You had a great opportunity there for product placement. That game will be seen on ESPN2 at 7 Eastern Time, March the 3rd. All right, what about Duke? We talked about their injuries. Can they still make it as a 1 seed?
Well, it's going to be interesting to watch Duke and see how they perform the last 2 games of the regular season without their starting point guards, without Alexis Jones in the lineup. They've got a chance to show the committee what they can do. They've got 2 games left in the regular season. They'll have at least 1 game in the ACC tournament. To me, if they can somehow come together, win these last 2 games, and pull an upset of Notre Dame, yes, it's a long shot, but if they could do that, they could work themselves into a #1 seed as well.
Wow, how do they do that? How do they rally around the players that they have? They've lost 2 potential All-American players so far this season.
It's really difficult because Duke still has players who can score in the half court, but what they don't have is somebody who can break down the defense, especially if teams are going to come out and extend their pressure in the full court. It's going to be really difficult for Duke to handle that pressure, to get into the front court so they can get their scores, the basketball.
If you're wondering who's on the bubble, who's going to make it in, who's going to not make it in, Charlie Cream is your man. Follow him on ESPNW.com. You can also go ask him questions on Twitter at Charlie Cream.
Right now. He's answering questions right now.
Really? I've got a question for him. I'm going to ask him.
This halftime report is presented by Land Rover. Above and beyond. This halftime report is presented by Land Rover. Above and beyond.
Over on ESPN, number 4 Syracuse has lost back-to-back games to Boston College. Duke trying to bounce back at Maryland. Tyler Ennis, he's got the steal. Can he finish? Oh, yes, indeed. He has 9 points in the first half. Later in the first, Tyler Ennis again. Clock winding down to end the first half. Get it off, Tyler.
He's done that before.
He's done it again, Rebecca. 32-24, the Orange lead at the break. And what a hap it was for this lady. Tara Laudermill, 6 of 7 from three-point range. They're up by 22.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Subway. Experience the irresistible crunch of the new Fritos Chicken Enchilada Melt, only at Subway. And State Farm. For auto, home, life, and banking, get to a better state. You're watching ESPN's Bracket Builder Week.
And we welcome you back to Big Monday, presented by Verizon as part of Bracket Builder Week. 52-30, you're reading that right. Nebraska all over Penn State, powered by 11 of 14 shooting from three-point range. As we welcome you back to Lincoln, Beth Mullins, along with Wade Trophy winner Stephanie White. What an offensive onslaught from the Huskers through the first 20 minutes.
Well, they've been terrific. They have shot the ball extremely well. They have shared the basketball, 17 assists on 13 made field goals. T. Laudermill, 6 of 7 from the three-point line. That's a career-high 6 three-point field goals made for T. 11 of 14, you mentioned it, 78.6% from the three-point line. And I think if you're Penn State, you talked in that locker room about forcing Nebraska to play off the bounce. But if you look at those halftime stats, points off of turnovers are significant too. 9 turnovers for the Lady Lions.
And the Huskers turned them into 16 points coming out of the locker room. The Penn State coaching staff was out here a good 2 or 3 minutes before the team came out. And the assumption would be that there was a little talking to from their leader, Maggie Lucas, who, by the way, scoreless in the first half, 0 for 5 shooting. And a turnover for Nebraska.
And didn't get many opportunities. Haley Sample, in particular, did a very good job of making it difficult for Maggie Lucas to catch the ball. And then she went out with 3 fouls as well. So one of the things that you can try to do is try to find a way to attack Haley Sample, but she's not going to be helping. She's going to be sticking right to Maggie Lucas.
You played enough basketball, Stephanie. You may have found yourself in this predicament a time or two. What's the challenge now for Penn State here coming out of the locker room?
I think the challenge is that they were come out and they were knocked in the mouth really early. They have to find a way to lock down on the defensive end. They've got to create turnovers for scores. They got to close the gap, but it's got to start on the defensive end. They got some good production offensively. I mean, they shot the ball 46%.
Yep.
They had too many turnovers and they didn't defend the three-point line.
You gotta hope that Nebraska cannot stay that hot, shooting nearly 70%. And Sample, how about a couple of turnovers on the first 2 possessions for Nebraska?
If you're Nebraska, the only positive of that is that they've been dead ball turnovers, and you have a chance to set your defense.
Michigan State winning handily tonight in their game against Minnesota. They and Nebraska, a game behind Penn State for first place in the conference. And if this score holds, it would be a 3-way tie with 1 game left for Penn State and 2 games each for Nebraska and Michigan State. Penn State, with a miraculous comeback here in the second half, could clinch a share of the Big Ten championship, and Lucas is now 0 for 6.
Well, that was just a rush shot. I mean, you could tell before she got it, she knew she was going to be open, but she knew that Haley Sample was closing in. You don't see that often from Maggie Lucas. You know, I'd like to see, too, once she gets a catch, maybe you turn around and set a quick on-ball for her. She draws 2 or 3 defenders every time she's got it. Somebody's going to be open for a high-percentage shot.
3 straight turnovers here for Nebraska. But Penn State unable to take advantage of the first 2. Now they'll get the ball into Lucas's hands here quickly.
Yeah, you got to clear out if you're going to go the baseline side. You got to get Taylor out of there.
Lucas trying to drive, takes the bump. And Maggie will try and get off the schneid at the free throw line as Sample has now picked up her 4th personal foul. She has been the primary defender tonight on Lucas.
Well, she has done a heck of a job keeping Maggie Lucas from catching the ball, and you're going to see it right here. Maggie Lucas does a good job of initiating that contact, and we've seen the freedom of movement call throughout this season.
And if there is such thing as a gimme in college basketball, this is it. Maggie Lucas at the free throw line. She leads the country in free throw shooting. That is her first point of the night. She is flirting with the single season free throw percentage record. She's at 96.3 coming in tonight. The record is 96.4. Held, believe it or not, by another Lady Lion, Adrian Squire. Just as important for Maggie, Sample is out of the game. They try and lob it inside to Hooper. 4 turnovers in 4 possessions.
Gotta move that ball.
Waldner steps back. Boy, Penn State was only able to get 2 points off of those 4 turnovers to start the half.
And I felt like that possession, Ariel Edwards, Jordan Hooper continues the hot hand with another 3 from Nebraska.
And the look on Connie Rory's face says it all. A smile and a shake of the head.
And I think that's what Ariel Edwards should have done the possession before.
Yep.
She drove in there looking to pass. She's got to drive in there looking to score. She's been terrific in this ball game with 18 points. She needs to continue to look to put the ball in the hole.
Katie with the offensive rebound.
That's a tough matchup for Talia East. The way that Katie moves around, puts the ball on the floor.
Waldner got the block. Now Lucas on the run. And coming back to block it is Laudermill. Coquise Washington thought there should have been a foul there. This is Lucas. Now Laudermill's guarding him. East skips to Taylor. Taylor will pull up and good defense. Brandy Jeffrey got a piece of it.
Yeah, that was really good defense by Jeffrey, getting a hand on that ball.
No reset. And An offensive foul will be called on the screen, and if that's Edwards, that's her fourth, and it is.
Ariel Edwards was clearly moving on that screen. You know, you have to be stagnant, you have to be stationary, and you're trying to get Maggie Lucas open, but she doesn't need a lot of time or a lot of space. You just have to create a little bit of separation.
Edwards replaced by Kalia Mitchell. Now Terrio's got it. Another nice ball game, by the way, for Terrio. And the foul is going to be called. That's on Dara Taylor, her first.
Well, Ariel Edwards has been offense, and you see she's clearly moving. She's sliding into that screen.
Terrio will inbound. 8 points, 6 assists tonight for Rachel. Terrio baseline, short corner, got it.
Rachel Terrio almost lulls you to sleep. You know, she's so poised and patient with the ball and the way that she moves without the basketball. And she never really forces anything. She always lets it come to her. They're going to continue to play off and play in the paint. Good take by Mitchell.
The and one for Kalia Mitchell, the freshman out of Stone Mountain, Georgia. And the Huskers still in control here early in this second half. Nebraska trying to get a piece of first place in the Big Ten Conference alongside Penn State and Michigan State if this score holds. Big Monday will end up the regular season next week at the Yum Center. We have been hearing that is a sellout. Over 20,000 will be on hand for UConn, Louisville. If you can't get to ESPN2, check it out on your Watch ESPN app. Of course, Brianna Stewart is one of those need-to-know players this year. The sophomore for the Huskies, who are still undefeated. 19 points, 8 rebounds per game. She can also drop it from deep.
She's been the best player in the country, without a doubt. I mean, what she can do offensively, she can score on so many different places on the floor. And a UConn team that has been decimated by injuries as well. Starters playing a lot of minutes, and she just continues to produce and get better every single game.
For more on our need-to-know players, log on to ESPNW.com. On ESPNW right now, also Jewel Lloyd, the Player of the Week from Notre Dame. And Holly Rowe has her front row on ESPNW, and a terrific look behind the scenes with Aaron Ellenberg, the Oklahoma senior who was also a terrific photographer at ESPNW on the front row. Story thus far tonight has been the three-point shooting for Nebraska. They have tied their season high 12 of 15 from deep. And they have shut out Maggie Lucas. Just 2 free throws, no field goals for the All-America candidate. As they add a couple more.
65% from the floor, 80% from the three-point line. You see T. Loudermill now has the face front right there on Maggie Lucas.
Loudermill, the crossover and the blocking foul called on Lucas. That's the second on Maggie.
You know, the difference between Nebraska from a season ago, last season you defended Jordan Hooper and you defended Lindsey Moore. That's it.
Yep.
This season, you go in the first half and it's T. Loudermill and it's Jordan Hooper. In some second half of games, and Emily Katie's starting to go to work here in the second half. And then you've got Rachel Terrio. In the last game against Ohio State, Terrio had 26 points. Hooper had 24 points. Nobody else scored in double figures, but they have the potential to have 4 or 5 players night in and night out. It makes it a tough team to scout.
Mitchell scores for Penn State during this 7-game winning streak, which is looking like it will head to 8 straight for Nebraska. Everybody's numbers have elevated, including Katie for the and one.
Connie Yori told us at shoot-around today she liked Emily Katie's matchup. She is one of the most versatile players in the Big Ten. She does such a good job of trailing, and you have to defend her at that three-point line. But her ability to face up and put the ball on the floor separates her, and that's tough for other bigs to defend.
Junior out of Seward, Nebraska. Connie Yori talked to us today about exploiting Emily's matchup, and they've been able to do that today. Now in the double digits, the 4th Husker to do it. And there is the first field goal of the night from Maggie Lucas. 6 minutes into this second half.
Well, and we've seen Maggie Lucas earlier this season against Connecticut. She was cold and didn't get a lot of opportunities in the first half, and she started lighting up in the second half.
Wow, Hooper with 4 blue jerseys around the Loudermill for 3. A season high for the Huskers. And her 7th of the night to tie the Nebraska single-game record. And now Loudermill defensively on Lucas. Maggie able to keep it alive, and she scoops it up and in.
Well, look, there's one thing that Maggie Lucas will not do, and that is she is not going to stop fighting. She is going to continue to scrap and compete every single possession.
And that is now the 3rd foul on Lucas, and a terrific ball fake from Loudermill.
Jordan Hooper is such a... Look at her sky for this rebound. She gets up there, 3 blue jerseys around. She finds T. Loudermill, knocks in her 7th 3 of the ball game, and everybody here in Lincoln is loving it.
Working inside, Katie, another 3-point opportunity.
When you're defending a player like Emily Katie and you know that it's a tough matchup as a big, you can't stand straight up and down. You've got to stay in a stance. You've got to give her just a little bit of space. She is the only player on Nebraska's team right now that's playing off the dribble.
Yep. And doing it well. Another trip to the free throw line. 3 for 4 tonight. Just extraordinary shooting from Nebraska. The making 2 of every 3 shots they take this evening. Lucas winding her way through defenders. Hooper gets another rebound and a double-double for Jordan Hooper tonight now. 11 points, 10 boards.
And Jordan Hooper's now 3 double-doubles away from the career record here held by Kelsey Griffin.
Well, an interesting subplot going on too right now with these 2 teams in Michigan State not only playing for the regular season title, but an opportunity opening up for Jordan Hooper possibly to grab Player of the Year honors away from Maggie Lucas in the Big Ten. Coming into the night, Penn State has a game in hand, so they only have Michigan next week. They are up in the loss column over Nebraska and Michigan State. Last check, the Spartans were winning tonight. They actually have the favorable schedule down the stretch, and that is the 4th personal foul on Lucas.
Well, Maggie Lucas trying to be aggressive, trying to create space, and T. Loudermill right there, able to take that, and Maggie Lucas is going to have to go to the bench with 4 fouls. She's got 4, Ariel Edwards has 4, and Talia East has 3.
Nebraska fans are more than happy to see her go. It was last year at the end of the season, another bucket, that Maggie Lucas officially closed the Devaney Center with a 34-point performance. Maggie hit 8 threes on that night to get the win, and a much different story here tonight as Loudermill gets the lay-in and a new career high. 27
for T. Loudermill. She has been terrific. She's coming off a game at Ohio State where she had just 6 points. She has been playing great basketball down the stretch in conference play, and there's Rachel Terrio.
They are pouring it on. Timeout, Penn State. (75-43), Nebraska all over first place Penn State. Tara Loudermill enjoying a career night.
7 of 8 from the 3-point line, 27 points. She's been knocking them down from all over the floor. Also been attacking off the dribble. T. Loudermill has been the difference maker. She has given Nebraska another consistent score. She stepped up her production in conference play. She has been on fire, and she talked about it. with us about just really getting in the gym, getting comfortable with her shot, getting confident enough to be able to step up in these big moments and knock them down. 14 threes for Nebraska. There's 11 and a half minutes left in the ball game.
Time to add to it, yeah. Nothing going right for Penn State, and a shot clock violation adding to their woes. They've got two starters, Maggie Lucas and Ariel Edwards, on the bench. Welcome back to Big Monday, presented by Verizon. It's been all Huskers. Holy moly, what a night for the folks here in Lincoln, as they have been shooting it well from beyond the arc, and this could be very costly for Penn State. As we look at a blind resume, if you had to pick a 2 seed from these 3 teams, which one would it be?
You know, this is the toughest one that we've seen so far, because right here, strength of schedule, RPI is good, but the difference in your wins against the RPI, top 25, I mean, I like that right there. Although I kind of like that too, but we'll reveal it right here and see.
So here are your teams, that may be in the hunt for a 2 seed, and this may be real costly for Penn State tonight, especially with Baylor taking it to Oklahoma this evening. And the Bears closing in on a Big 12 championship, although West Virginia, that game on March 2nd will be fantastic. Bears and Mountaineers.
You know, it was interesting talking to Connie Ori today, because we asked, you know, have you addressed the opportunity that your team has, you know, with this game? And she said, yeah, you know, yesterday in practice was the first time we really did. We have an opportunity to play for a championship. But we've got 2 more tough games after that, you know, and she always keeps it in perspective. But you certainly feel like this team embraced the challenge and opportunity that they've had so far tonight, because they have been putting on a clinic.
It has been extraordinary to watch. They have made life very difficult for Maggie Lucas. They have done a very good job handling the post, and they've made some threes. That's all 3 things on Connie's checklist. Sunday, back down at Tobacco Road, North Carolina 1 at Duke. Can Duke return the favor in Chapel Hill? 1 o'clock Eastern to start, also on your Watch ESPN app. And things just got a whole lot more difficult for Duke with the loss. Today it was announced an ACL tear for Alexis Jones, so they have now lost both their starters in the backcourt to injury.
And they've been playing without their backup in Chloe Wells. So now you have to ask Tricia Liston to slide over and play that point guard position. Already a depleted roster for the Blue Devils.
Hager's off the mark.
And then you got both Maggie Lucas and Ariel Edwards in with 4 fouls, and Maggie Lucas finally able to get a little bit of time and space from the three-point line.
It's her first triple of the night. She is 4 away now from the all-time Big Ten record. Former Lady Lion Kelly Mazzanti tops in conference history. Winding down to catch for Sample. She's back out there with 4 fouls. Lucas back out to Waldner and to Talia East. A couple of buckets in a row for Penn State.
And that's the quickest ball movement we've seen from Penn State. They haven't been able to get more than 1 or 2 passes, and even though that was 2 passes, they were quick passes.
Connie Yori will call the timeout here. She does not want to give Penn State any kind of hope with 9:46 to go. 7 unanswered points here for Penn State. Well, for the Huskers, there are 2 games left. Illinois here on Thursday, and then at Purdue, where they have always had a hard time. It'll be Sunday on ESPN2. And then the Big Ten tournament, March 6th through the 9th. We'll have the championship game for you on ESPN.
And that's not an easy road for Nebraska. Should they come away with this victory tonight, in the tie for first place, they have that game at Purdue on the road. Purdue's won 5 straight without KK Hauser, who they lost to a torn ACL. And it's been a series of overtimes in that matchup.
Katie
good hustle.
gets her own miss. And as much as you love a regular season Big Ten championship, forget about the 1 seed in the Big Ten tournament. It is no good. Just 5 times in 19 years, the regular season champion has survived to win the tournament. Purdue and Ohio State have won each of the last 9. As Taylor gets the breakaway, and that's 9 straight now for Penn State.
Well, and should there be a 3-way tie and each team finish the season out with wins, that would leave Nebraska at the number 1 seed, Penn State at the number 2 seed, and Michigan State at the number 3.
Katie fouled by Waldner. That's the 3rd on Waldner. A terrific turnout here tonight at Pinnacle Bank Arena. Boy, are there 2 better fan bases for their women's sports teams than Penn State and Nebraska, from their soccer to volleyball to basketball and into softball season?
Well, I think this is the perfect place when you think about where the regionals are located this year. I mean, they're going to draw a tremendous crowd. These Husker fans love their women's basketball.
Well, talking to the locals here, they'll probably get 5,000 regardless, but if Nebraska can survive the first 2 rounds and return home, they could pack this place and get 15,000 people in here.
You know, that's one of the
3rd on Katie.
And that's one of those plays right there. And that double team has been there. If you make that pass a little bit sooner, as you see the call right there on the blocking foul, if you make that pass a little bit sooner, that's a layup. They've had a couple of opportunities to get that, and Ariel Edwards gets another bucket for the Lady Lions, trying to make a run.
Well, they're playing right now as if they got nothing to lose, and they have settled right down.
Yes. That's absolutely where they are from a mentality standpoint. You don't have anything to lose. You have to go out there and lay it all on the line.
Well, they make Loudermill take a tough shot. Back to Penn State. 11-1 run. The home folks are getting a bit antsy. Lucas pulls the trigger. Got it for 3.
It's a really good pin down by Talia East. All you have to do is give Maggie Lucas a little bit of time and space. She doesn't need much.
Terrific on that shot for Lucas. Now 3 threes away from tying the Big Ten record. And Nebraska has gone cold. They've missed their last 6 shots. Foul on that shot. Hooper gets the roll.
2 points. Foul number 2.
Jordan Hooper gets the and one. Dara Taylor gets a hand in there. Nebraska starting to answer the Penn State run.
Todd Grisham here with a studio update. Michigan State trying to fight for first place in the Big Ten, currently in action against Minnesota. Becca Mills for 3, and right now the Spartans up 11 with 7:34 to go. No problem for Baylor tonight. The 6th-ranked Bears blowing out Oklahoma at home. They lead at 78-59 with just over 8 minutes left. Coming up at 9 o'clock over on ESPN, Joel Embiid and Andrew Wiggins, that dynamic duo from Kansas, taking on Oklahoma. Enjoy it.
Well, with Michigan State leading Minnesota, will that affect the Gophers? They're the last 4 in right now with Florida, BYU, and Oregon State. As we keep an eye on that bubble, it includes a couple of mid-majors there in Creighton and Central Michigan.
Well, Minnesota's a team that's been flirting on the bubble. They won 4 straight before they just fell to Purdue. So 4 of the last 5, and now it looks like Michigan State might come away with a victory right there. Should they do that, I think they're still kind of towing that line. They would need to finish strong and make a good run in the tournament.
Baylor Bears rolling tonight, another 30-point game for Odyssey Sims. And that's a team, if they can win the Big 12, perhaps they are a 1 seed coming here to play in Lincoln. And another triple for Maggie Lucas. And what was a 32-point game is down to 19. Another Husker turnover.
12 turnovers now. 6 in the second half for Nebraska. Can Penn State do something with those turnovers?
Well, the Lady Lions, you got to be wishing they had those first 4 turnovers of the second half back when they only scored 2 points off of those 4 turnovers.
They called that on Emily Cady. That's her 4th.
Cady and Sample in the game with 4 fouls. Lucas has 4. Here's a deep 3 from Maggie. Edwards also has 4. She's got a layoff of Laudermill. Hooper's got it. Jordan with a double-double tonight. And the bump called on Waldner with 5 left on the shot clock.
Nebraska really taking advantage when the shot clock winds down of forcing the Penn State bigs to defend off the dribble. Whether it's Emily Cady catching at the free throw line and putting it on the deck, or at the end of the shot clock going to the 2-man game and forcing the Penn State bigs to show and defend the dribble. They're not attacking the guards. They're attacking the bigs. That's where their advantage is.
Edwards couldn't finish. And a foul. And if that's on Penn State, somebody's about to depart because both of those players had 4 fouls. Oh, check that. That is the 4th on Talia. And that is a 1-on-1 situation now for Hooper. She, Terrio, Cady, and Loudermill all in double digits. We are in the bonus, or double bonus here. There's the foul issues for Penn State. 4 starters with 4 each.
You got to clear out that corner. Haley Sample's playing on the high side. If you're going to use an on-ball screen, you got to set it going the other direction. So you got to get that guard out of there.
Instead, it's Nebraska. Loudermill taking it to the hoop. And Lucas is fouled.
So this is a way for Penn State. Continue to take it at them. Continue to get opportunities at the foul line. No clock running.
They are now into the bonus here. And the 1-and-1 for Maggie Lucas. 2 for 2 at the line. She has had stretches this year of consecutive free throws. 35, 30, 30, and 25. She's only missed 6 times all year.
It's hard enough to do in practice when there's no pressure.
And she is now 159 for 165 on the season.
She's got 17 in the ball game, coming off of 3 straight games where she scored over 25. First player to do that in Penn State history since Kelly Mazzanti. There's all those comparisons with Mazzanti and Maggie Lucas.
A lot of those, yeah. She's got 17 now tonight. She will not catch Kelly's career scoring number. Kelly had close to 3,000. Both Pennsylvania natives, both grew up Penn State fans. Both stayed home to play. Almost 3 no good. The outlet to Lucas.
And you think about the storied program for Penn State. When Maggie Lucas chose to come to Penn State, they were struggling. They had been struggling the 3 years prior to that. Had really fallen from the elite of the Big Ten. Maggie Lucas, a McDonald's All-American, could have probably gone anywhere that she wanted to stay. And you see this right here. The record, the 3 seasons prior to Maggie Lucas joining the program, and those 3 NCAA tournament appearances, going to be 4 here now in her 4 seasons. A 2nd-round loss her freshman year, a Sweet 16 her sophomore year, a 2nd-round loss last year. She wanted to be a part of that resurgence.
Offensive rebound and a traveling violation called on Edwards. Emily Cady has fouled out now for Nebraska. And approaching 5 minutes to go. A Nebraska win and a Michigan State win tonight. They were on top of Minnesota, and we've got a 3-way tie atop the Big Ten standings with the final week in front of us. Loudermill, short. Tipped way out to Lucas. Maggie will pull up from the elbow. That won't go. Penn State had 2 players around it, and neither one could hang on.
Well, you can see the frustration. I mean, in the body language of this Penn State team. Sometimes there are nights like this where the other team just knocks down shots and the other team just deserves to come away with the victory. You know, they're still in a position. We talked off the top of the show. Hooper 3. Oh, wow.
Another one.
15 three-point field goals for Nebraska.
4th tonight for Hooper. East fouled by Jordan. Hooper with 4, Terrio with 3, Laudermill 7 of 10 from downtown. That ties the school record.
27 points for T. Laudermill, her new career high. She had 26 earlier in this season against Iowa. She has just been terrific in conference play.
And this is just what the doctor ordered for Connie Yori. Of course, a scare a couple of games ago when she wasn't feeling well, felt dizzy, had a bad reaction to some medication, had to leave their game early. And now in her, as she was telling us earlier, she feels great. She really feels fine. This is actually her 3rd game back because she had 2 Nebraska games and she also coached her son's 3rd grade team to a win. So
I wonder which was more stressful.
Yeah, well, a game like this, you'll get a good night's sleep for sure. It'll be a much longer week for Penn State. They do not play again until their season finale Saturday against Michigan.
When you have an opportunity to look at the film, see what kind of adjustments that you could have made. But Nebraska, especially in that first half, playing just about as well as you can play. I mean, shooting the ball very well. They're continuing shooting the ball well in the second half. That first half, 68% from the floor, 78, almost 79% from the three-point line.
Three defenders on Lucas. Edwards will pull up and hit. Edwards was the only thing keeping him in the game in that first half, and now she's got 22 points. Caniori wants the timeout. 2:55 to go. Huskers closing on an 8th win in a row. And that will leave Nebraska with 2, Penn State with 2. And we'll go ahead and take the timeout with them. Be right back.
Todd Grisham with a studio update following our game. It's NBA Coast to Coast, where you'll see great plays like this. Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan. The Clippers lead the Pelicans in the second quarter. Kevin Connors, Antonio Davis, and Avery Johnson will join you in minutes.
Now, there have been a lot of Huskers that have had a hand in this game tonight. None bigger than Tara Laudermill, a career-high 27 points, 7 of 10 shooting. Those just aren't any Husker fans. That's Mom Pam and brother Theron. They're from California. And Tara knew that Mom was coming tonight, but she did not know that Big Bro would be here. And so what a celebration for the Laudermills this evening. Mom was talking to us pregame. She said when Tara saw her brother, she cried for 6 minutes. That's how emotional she was. 6 full minutes. That's about how long it took for Nebraska to set the tone tonight, as they jumped all over Penn State and never let up.
Well, this is a Nebraska team that executes so well on offense, and especially when they are not only knocking down threes, but getting some easy scores inside as well as outside. And they shared the basketball extremely well. 24 assists on 31 made field goals, only 12 turnovers.
Foul's going to be called on the rebound. Defensively, they kept Lucas in check. Maggie did not score a basket in the first half. Well, Lucas has come back with 17 points now on the night.
You really have to credit Haley Sample, and she got in foul trouble in that first half with 3 fouls, but she did such a good job of dictating defensively in the first half, especially, the first 18 minutes of that half, when she would not allow Maggie Lucas to come off of those screens. She forced her down. She forced her to either come out wider or go underneath. No easy catches. Did such a good job of keeping her or making it difficult for her to catch the ball.
Boy, when you look at this performance tonight, it gives hope to Husker fans that this team can survive the first and second rounds. They'll have to go on the road. In all likelihood, they will be playing on somebody else's home court, trying to earn the right to come back home to play on their own in the regional.
And I think that's going to be the challenge, to be able to bring the kind of energy and effort as Sadie Murrin knocks down 2 of her own, to bring this, finish the season like this, bring this consistently every day. Because we have seen flashes of this offensive game throughout the entire season.
Here are your 4 regional sites, and if you are in the tournament, you would be able to stay and play at home. So there's a good chance Louisville, Notre Dame, and Stanford will all be playing at home in the regionals. Nice backdoor cut. The big question for the selection committee that has to deal with geography: will they bring UConn out here as a 1 seed? That's what we'll all have some fun watching play out over the course of the next couple of weeks. Is Stanford going to be able to hang on to that 1 seed out west, as other teams will be able to pad their resumes with bigger wins?
It's always interesting when you start talking about the postseason and seeding, and it's fun for us to have the blind resumes and look at the numbers only. And in women's basketball, it's not only about numbers. It is the eye candy. It is the regional locations and being closer to home. Those are all things that come into play.
Penn State with just the 1 game left, and then the possibility of playing a couple of ranked teams in the Big Ten tournament. They still have a chance to grab at least a share of a title at Michigan, hosting Michigan on Saturday. That would be their 3rd year in a row with a regular season championship. That has not happened before at Penn State. And the Huskers, just a few years ago, winning the Big 12 regular season when they went 29-0 in 2010. And now for Connie Yori, just a few years into the Big Ten, a chance now for a share of a title.
That undefeated regular season title, and went to the Sweet 16 that year, went to the Sweet 16 last year. And Kelsey Griffin, whose number is up in the Rafters up on the wall. Was really instrumental in taking this program, as you see Kelsey Griffin right there, and really instrumental in taking this program from being kind of middle of the pack to an elite level and being in the top 25, being in contention for a conference tournament, for a deep NCAA tournament run.
She, along with Lindsey Moore, who's working the radio broadcast tonight with Jeff Grisha, Matt Coatney. Moore and Jordan Hooper may be the next two to get their numbers up there on the wall. And this winning streak that is now going to be 8 in a row started when they hung Griffin's jersey and she spoke to the team. And Griffin's inspirational words definitely having an impact on the current Huskers.
And you know, every coach talks about you want to be peaking at this time, and this is a team in Nebraska that, while they only lost one player, they lost a 4-year starting point guard who logged the most minutes in school history, who dominated the ball from a stance that she was the one that initiated and facilitated everything that they did offensively. They are a much more free-flowing offensive team this year. They have a lot more offensive weapons. And they've been very good defensively. They lead the Big Ten in defensive points per game.
Final minute here, and what will be Connie Yori's 8th top 10 win in her 12 seasons. And now the fans getting a little frustrated at the late whistles here, with this one appearing to be well out of reach. NBA Coast to Coast coming up. Stick around for that.
Penn State,
15 3-pointers. The story tonight for Nebraska. And a career high for Tara Laudermilk. Jordan Hooper gets the double-double, 19 points, 12 rebounds.
11 double-doubles on the season for Jordan Hooper. She's climbing a lot of career charts. She overtook Kiera Hardy for first in 3-point field goals made, second in career points, second in career rebounds, second in double-doubles. One of 5 Big Ten players with 2,000 points and 1,000 rebounds. But again, did it in typical Nebraska fashion. Great balance, 4 players in double figures. And Connie Yori said, we got to knock down jumpers. And they sure did, and continue to do it.
Still do.
1 triple shy of the school record with their 16th, 16 of 22. They're better from outside the arc tonight than inside.
Five different players with a triple.
73% from the 3-point line. Holy cow.
Just incredible stuff. This is the most points that Penn State has given up this year.
Well, Nebraska came out and set the tone early. They had dictated on both ends of the floor.
Candace Agee with the basket.
Nebraska excited about a share of first place, and I bet the folks up in East Lansing are almost as happy. They get a win tonight, and we now have a 3-way tie. Penn State's got 1 game left. Nebraska and Sparty have 2 games left this week. This is what it's all about. This time of year, you love that it comes down to the end of the season. A championship on the line. 3 teams vying for it. Now you take care of your business, and you get a share of the title.
The last time there was a 3-way tie and tri-champs,
Stephanie White was a youngster. She was playing for Purdue back in the late 90s. 94-74, all Nebraska tonight in Lincoln. As we get set to send you back to the studio to get caught up on all the latest from around women's college basketball and the rest of the nation. So long from Lincoln.
94-74, the Huskers over the Lady Lions. Here's Todd Grisham and Rebecca Lobo.